ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Conjugation as usual.
Yeah. Oh.
Conjugation, we can't hear you. Conjugation, we can't hear you. You're muted.
I don't know how it went back to muted. I muted, okay. Oh, Badram Karne Vishunuyama Deva, Badram Vashe Marchavedrijatraha, Sirairangai Sutuvagum Saptanovi, Devayadayu, Swastina Indro Vidyasravaha, Swastina Bhusha Vishwavedaha, Swastina Sracho Arijadevi, Swastino Brahmadir Dadadu, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I didn't know how it went back to.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Yeah. Anyway, we're seeing the Agama Prakarana and now Bhayam Vidyate, that's what we saw last time, the 25th verse. Any questions, clarifications before we go ahead? You know, someone was asking me, how come Indian intellectuals are not very courageous? Because last time I ended with that topic. And I really didn't have much of an answer. At a personal level, they're always yes. But I think as a social level, as a community level, it became a habit of surviving, I think. So many years of Mughal rule, then British rule after that. So to survive, you just put your head down and do what you have to do and get off, So that became a little bit of a pattern. Okay. Just put your head down, do what you have to do and don't interfere in anything else. So because of that, the whole idea of social responsibility, community-wise doing something became less, except in certain communities, like the warrior communities in northwest of India and all that. There it was different. Punjab, Rajasthan, there it was different. But otherwise, I think this is even under the Maratha Empire, it is different. But after that, and Macaulay was smart with the education system. He made us disinherit our own heritage. And that was followed by Mahatma Gandhi's brand of Ahimsa, where at the end of it, you became useless, good for nothing. That's it. You didn't have the courage to take a stand. So maybe that's why as a community, we have to reclaim some of our heritage, our ways of living and courage, of correcting wrong things that is there in the society, of being standing up for ourselves. We are never against anybody at any time, but we always stood up for what we are. So those type of things, I think it needs to come back. Okay, that's a side comment because that question came up. Okay. Any other questions, clarifications before I go ahead? Okay, and then he says, very interesting statement he makes. Pranavo hi aparam brahma, pranavasya param smrutaha, apurva antaro bahya, antaro apara pranavo vyaha. Pranava hi aparam brahma. Now Brahman is looked upon as param and aparam. Okay. What is param? Brahma. Param Brahman, otherwise known as Nirgunam Brahman, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Okay. Then what is Aparam? The same Brahman, mark these words, there is no two Brahmans. The same Brahman, when you are looking at Brahman from the standpoint of creation and calling Brahman as Jagat Karanam, Brahman, as Ishvara. Okay, there is only one Brahman. Vastu Kevalam Drishtihi Dvayam. Vastu is one reality. You are viewing it in a twofold manner. One as pure consciousness, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, and one as Ishvara, where the whole universe or multiverse is manifest, non-different from him itself. So, these two viewpoints. So, in the beginning, it's always easier to understand Ishvara, as we saw in Mandukya Upanishad, Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam, rather than pure consciousness. Unless you have some religious conditionings, etc. Barring that, it's easier to understand Ishvara. And with Ishvara, one thing is understanding, another is worship. Worship either purely mental or mental plus physical. When we saw Isavasya Upanishad, we saw all that. How do you worship everything? All that we've seen. So, physical, mental, and contemplativeness. All the thing comes into the thing. So, therefore, he says, Pranavahi aparam brahma, pranavascha param smrita. Therefore, Omkara represents both, he says. When you chant the Om, okay, A, Uma coalescing together, the sound as Om, that stands for Ishvara. The silence between the chants stands for Param Brahma, Nirgunam Brahma. So the word Om stands for both. So when you hear Om, minimum in your mind what should be there is Ishvara or Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. Okay? Yeah. Therefore, what we need to do, because Omkara is physically represented in that funny little form, okay, we have to learn to little bit disconnect that. And when we hear Om, either Ishvara or Brahman, reconnect that in our minds. Okay? Because it's a pratika. So we need to do that. Exactly like how we need to do reconnect when we hear the word I. Now, I have done this exercise with you all before, but just to remember it again. Okay? When you hear table, chair, pot, what do you understand? What is the image that comes in your mind? There is some image. Watch again. Table, chair, pot. And now I am saying I. What is it that comes in your mind? Table, chair, pot, man, woman, I. It should be I consciousness. Because now you studied, na? Whole Gita, 5-6 Upanishad ho gaya, na? So consciously, we need to get this into our minds, that make that connection. I is consciousness. Everything else later. Anything else you talk about is later. I consciousness. Then, oh yeah, I am a mother, I am a father, brother, sister, whatever, student. All that later. Okay. So this connect in your mind has to be clear. Now with I it may be different. What is it that comes into your mind when I say consciousness? Blank. I I mean, you are the only source of consciousness in the world. So sit down, do some japa dhyanam, quieten that mind, and raise the fact that you are conscious, you are aware, it's conscious. Do that. Necessary. As it's a process of niti dhyasana, very simple. I don't mind what you use as sides, as props, everything doesn't matter. Whatever meditations you have been doing, worship you have been doing, it is fine. At the end of it, just come to this consciousness. I, aware, consciousness. That's it. Witness of everything. If consciousness is difficult, start with I am the one who is witnessing everything. And the content of that witness is I consciousness. It'll help. Sitting down, standing up, closed eyes, open eyes, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay. There are times when I don't it, when I was traveling to work up and down in the train. Okay. Local Bombay trains. होता है. Place, time, circumstances, doesn't matter for meditation. What is inside matters. Nothing else matters. Okay. Though it is true in the beginning you will say, sit in a clean place, that, all that, fine. So that you feel a certain sacredness and a certain holiness about it, you know. Like some communities will wear, oh no, I had, before puja I had to wear silk because that is associated with being holy. Fine. In some communities they will wear not a full dhoti or something, but a wet one. Yeah, either a thin bath towel or something, but it is wet. You just squeezed it, all the water, okay, and then you wear that and then you do the puja. Whatever makes you feel sacred, holy, in terms of your cultural background. Yeah. Because I am addressing a huge mix of cultures here. Yeah. So, whatever makes you feel sacred and good, nice about yourself, feel a little bit holy, okay? Beginning all that is necessary. After that doesn't matter. Na vijukupsyate is a vasya. Once you know the truth, what is there to reject anything? Nothing is to be rejected. Everything is fine. Okay, so that much for that. Therefore, pranavo hi aparam brahma, pranavascha param sprataha. Apurvaha anantara abhyahaya hi anapparaha. Pranavo hi avyayaha. Pranavo hi avyayaha. Pranava is undecaying, meaning avyayaha. Not conditioned by time. And when something is not conditioned by time, it is not conditioned by space as well. That's a given. In the Shastra, it's a given. Time space continuum is one. They knew that. Okay. Okay. Therefore, what is this? What does it mean, avyayaha? Not conditioned by time. Apurvaha. There is nothing before it, meaning there is no cause for Brahman. Okay. Anantaraha abhahyaha. There is no inside outside. Inside outside is a spatial concept. And if something is unconditioned by space, there is nothing inside and outside. What is outside Brahman? There is nothing outside Brahman. Brahman is Brahman or kya? Brahman is Brahman. I mean, we will say everything is inside Brahman. But you can use the statement everything is inside Brahman only if there is an outside. Correct or not? You can say everything is inside only if there is an outside. There is nothing other than Brahman. There is nothing other than Brahman. Therefore, no inside outside. That's like saying what is beyond time and space. Huh? What do you mean beyond time and space? There's nothing beyond time and space. Everything is within time and space. You can ask what is the basis for time and space. Then you will say consciousness. So if consciousness is the basis of time and space, then where is there inside and outside? Because inside and outside comes into the picture only after space has come into the picture. And that space has to condition Brahman. But we have said Brahman is avyayam. Therefore, no time or spatial conditionings. There is no time or spatial conditioning. There is nothing inside or outside. It's like saying there are certain things inside this room and there are certain things outside the room. Correct? I mean, that's it. So, whatever is outside the room is included in this town of Chembur, this district of Chembur. What is outside this room, but it is inside Chembur. And there are things outside Chembur, San, Mandukya, etc. But what is outside is also included in Bombay. Therefore, there are things inside Bombay, outside Bombay. Maharashtra, outside Bombay is included in Maharashtra. Outside Maharashtra included in India. Outside India included into the world. Outside the world included into the galaxy. Outside the galaxy included into space. Outside space, there is no outside of space. There can be a relative inside. Why? Because there are things other than space. Even though space is in and through everything. Then, if space itself is based on consciousness, what is inside and outside consciousness? Inside and outside can come only if it is divisible. Consciousness is an indivisible reality. What is inside, outside? That's one way of looking at it. Another, to say it's inside or outside, it should have a separate reality, no? At least a functionally separate reality. Like this book is not space, space is not this book. This book exists in space, you can say that. The space inside an empty pot, is that outside space or inside space? It is space.
It is in space. It is in space.
So therefore, when you say Brahman is neither inside nor outside, what does it mean? There is nothing but Brahman, you, the consciousness. What it means is, there is nothing but you, the consciousness. Getting that? Yeah, Kartik, you have a question.
So, Swamiji, when you say space itself is based on consciousness,
Yeah.
How do we arrive at that? Is it through Shruti or Anubhava?
Yeah, where is one Shruti Pramana? Okay?
Yes.
The Shastra is a Pramana. Then you have Anukula Tarka. For example, like, how do you see space? It's a thing I always ask in the class. No? How do you see space? Is directly objectified by you, the consciousness. Therefore, it's consciousness itself that is manifest as space. Or you can say, space is a mental concept. Space is purely a concept. But not the finite mind, universal mind, because you're doing Mandukya. Okay? It's purely a concept. That's why it's not matter. Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi there is matter in it. Akasha, what is the matter? Even though we look upon it as matter because other than consciousness. It's a manifestation of consciousness, therefore it's purely conceptual. At the same time, there is a certain functional reality about it. Because we will talk about the bending of space, etc. in science, which allows for multiple dimensions. And multiple dimensions are accepted in the Shastra. We talk about 14 dimensions. So there is a certain amount of agreement there. Not total, but some sort of this. So what is it? You consciousness, neither inside nor outside. You, the consciousness, has neither inside nor outside. Okay. Anaparaha. Anaparaha can mean there is nothing other than it, or there is no effect, is not really the cause itself. Even though we say Ishvara is the cause of the creation, Nimittam, Padanam, etc., we say, really speaking, it is not the cause. Why? Creation is mithya. Can you say, really speaking, the rope is the upadana karanam for the snake? No ropes, no snake. Correct? No rope, no snake. But can you say it's the cause?
What is that? Becomes a Brahma.
It's a Brahma, therefore functionally it looks like that. But really speaking, you can't present the rope as a cause for the snake. Because there is no connection, really speaking, except a pure projection, except a pure mental thing. There is no real connection. Similarly, there is no real connection between the world, the creation, and Brahman. It's an apparent connection only. There is no real connection. Where is the real connection? What is the connection between the wave and the water? Between a wave and the ocean, you can talk about some connection, part and whole, and all that you can say. One aspect of it, all that you can say. But between wave and water, what you can talk about? And I am not talking about this wave, okay?
One is Vastu, other is Namarupa Eva.
It appearance. When you say Namarupa, what do you mean? Appearance. Wave is only an appearance. Functionally valid. It can sink a ship. Okay. It can flood the coastal areas 4 kilometers inside if it's a tidal wave. But what is it as far as water is concerned? It's just water. Not different from water. Therefore, can you have a cause-effect relationship between wave and water? Wave is the water, water is the wave. There is no real difference. So, you can't say the water is causing the wave. Can you say that? But no water, no wave. This is the condition between the consciousness and the whole creation. In short, between you and the whole creation. This is the condition. Yeah, this is the condition. Naparaha. Okay. Pranavohi avyaya. So avyaya is summing up of all this. Okay. Na bahyantaraha. Okay. No effect, no cause, no effect. Okay. Nothing inside, nothing outside. All that is there is only one consciousness. That's it. Everything else that you see and you deal with are appearances. Is there other things? It looks like that. It seems like that. We are forced to use these words. No? It looks like that. It seems like that. We are forced to use these words. But really speaking, what is there? Only one consciousness. That's why they'll say, बाकी सब क्या है? अरे दुनिया के खेल है, देख लो. The play of the world, have some fun. The play is very tragic. Why do you say that? So many people have died. There is neither birth nor death. That is fact. Neither birth nor death. That's a fact that we talk about here. If somebody has lost someone, don't go and tell them at their home when they are all grieving. Neither birth nor death. That's ridiculous. That's inappropriate. You have to understand that in the class. Make it a fact of your life. Then help other people understand that if they ask for it. I know, I have carried the news of death to a lot of families, and that's one of the most difficult things to do. So that will be the most inappropriate things to do. But when you empathize with them in their grief, sometimes they will want to know more than that. Like I remember this lady, I met her years ago, okay? Many years ago. She had lost some near and dear ones. So a friend of hers said, "This lady is really suffering. Can you please talk to her?" I said, "Okay, I'll talk to her." So I would talk to her. After some time she said, "Samji, all this is very good consolation, but I want to know more. I want to know what is beyond death." I said, "Then come for the class." And she stuck with me for 30 years. That's something. So that is absolute fact. दुनिया का खेल देखो. And there is neither birth nor death. What is tragic? So if I walk into home and somebody is not well, I will respond empathetically. It's a tragedy. It's something not good. It's unfortunate. That empathy does not negate your knowledge. You don't have to be afraid that because you are empathizing with someone in grief, your knowledge is being compromised. That's idiotic. If it is being compromised, that means your knowledge you have not yet gained the steadiness in your knowledge. That's all it means. So gain that steadiness, empathize well, and after that go home, study the Gita again, study the Upanishad again, get that steadiness into it. That's what you need to do. Go back and contemplate a bit. That's what you need to do. Okay, then continuing the same idea, he says, सर्वस्य प्रणवो ह्यादिः मध्यम अंतं तथैव च एवं हि प्रणवं ज्ञात्वा व्यश्नुते तदनन्तरम्. प्रणवो हि सर्वस्य आदिः. प्रणवः. What is pranava? Omkara. What is Omkara? Brahman. Okay, understand that. There is no difference between the Nama and the Nami. Okay. This is very strongly stated in Sanskrit literature. Okay. Vak and Artha, word and its meaning, asamprukta. They are not different. Okay. In fact, Kalidasa, when he is going to write Raghuvamsha, okay, Raghuvamsha is the dynasty of Rama. I think Rama was the 39th king, 39th in the dynasty, okay. The 38 people before Rama and another 30 after him. You can imagine what a long dynasty that was. And each one a hero. Dilipa, Raghu, Bharata, each one was a great hero in that. Giants who walked the earth, literally. Okay. So Kalidasa trying to write Raghu Vamsha, the story of Raghu's Vamsha. Raghu was the first one. Makes a prayer. Vagartha viva asamprattau Vagartha pratipatte. That which is inseparate is the word and the meaning. Jagata pitarau vande Parvati Parameshwaru. I worship the parents of the world, Parvati and Parameshwara, who are as non-different from each other as the word and the meaning. So why are you invoking that? Vagartha pratipatte, so that my words can have become meaningful. Because I am writing about these heroes. It's not an easy thing to describe. Though in the English language, Shakespeare said something differently. A rose by any other name would be just as sweet. That is true. But today, once it has come into use, when you say rose, what comes into your mind? Your favorite form of rose. There are many roses, your favorite form. Or the most common form you are exposed to. Correct? Supposing by an act of the government, like government in India keeps changing names, Israel also does that, keeps changing names of the places. All over it happens. Like what is the most popular or common road number in the US? Is it road number 1 or road number 2? Second Avenue or First Avenue? Second Avenue. Why? First Avenue usually gets named into something else, like Central Avenue, Main Street, or something. So, it's different. But like to say, like how the government is renaming names by an act of government, a decree. Let us say Trump passes a law. Okay. Tomorrow onwards, rose should be known as Cruz. So when you hear Cruz, what will come into your mind? Nothing. Rosa will come because it has been imprinted in your mind like that. Okay. And that time there is only one language. Okay. Sanskrit. So, yeah. So when you say Omkara, what do you mean? Brahman. Pranava is another name for Omkara. And Omkara means Brahman. Between Nama and Nami, there is no difference. The name and the one who has the name, there is an abheda. Therefore, Sarvasya Pranavo Yadi. Pranavaha, Omkara. In other words, Brahman is the beginning of everything. Madhyama, the middle, that what sustains it. Antasya, resolving point. In other words, everything is manifest from Brahman. Everything is sustained by Brahman. Everything resolves into Brahman. But Swamiji, I thought that was Ishvara's definition. So Ishvara and Brahman are two different things. This is what happens in people's mind. Aparam Brahma, Ishvara. Param Brahma, Nirgunam Brahma. Standpoints. Now look at this statement here. Everything is manifest from Brahman, sustained by Brahman, resolved into Brahman. Taittiriya says the same thing. Yata umani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, preti abhisham vishanti iti, tad Brahma, tad vijijñāsasva. That is Brahman, know that. Tapasa Brahma vijijñāsa, by contemplation, by this thing. I have taught you enough. Now contemplate on what I have taught and now understand Brahman. Therefore, he comes with various concepts. Annam Brahmeti, tough teacher. Tapasa Brahma vijijñāsasva. Go, do some more vichara. Prana is Brahman. Tapasa Brahma vijijñāsasva. Mano Brahmeti, tapasa. Vijnanam Brahmeti, tapasa Brahma vijijñāsasva. Anandam Brahmeti. He doesn't come back to the teacher. Not necessary. It's crystal clear. With a concept you have a doubt. When you know the truth, where is the doubt? So in other words, as long as you are having doubts, you don't know the truth. You have to resolve those doubts to know the truth. Samjhi, I never have any doubt. Either you are a jnani or you are not thinking enough. You are not challenging your own understanding. You need to challenge your own understanding. You have to question it. Okay. Therefore, आद्यम अंतस्य तथैव च एवं हि प्रणवो ज्ञात्वः व्यश्नुते तदनन्तरम्. If you know Brahman like this, in this manner, he says, you are one with Brahman. Because Brahman is yourself. The teaching is Tattvamasi. The teaching is not Aham Brahmasmi. And what about you? You're an idiot. You're a sinner. You're a useless guy. No. In fact, the teaching is Tattvamasi. Aham Brahmasmi is how you receive the teaching. So if your teacher has received it from his or her teacher, Aham Brahmasmi, then he has to teach Tattvamasi. And you have to own it up. Correct, that's true. I am Brahman. So once you know, you identify with it, he says. What is this identification? Owning up, making it a fact of your life. As Swami Chinmayanji used to say, what has gone in through the ears must sink into the heart. Otherwise it will leak through the mouth. We will be good at talking about it. But it's not a fact of your life. It's not you. The important thing is to make it your own. That involves being with this knowledge for some time. Either formal nididhyasana or just being with the knowledge. What do you do when you have nothing to do? Now when you have nothing to do, what do you mean nothing to do? It's always something to do. Scroll down with the message. What does the Facebook say? What is YouTube? What are the messages that has come? Oh, okay, fine. It's always something. This takes up a major chunk of your time. Be careful of this. I am not against this. This is a very useful tool. Keep it a tool. So when you have time, don't reach out for your phone. Hey, in the class it was, there's neither inside nor outside. What exactly that means when you say there is neither inside me nor outside me? Say that. How will you talk about Brahman being neither having inside nor outside? How will you put it in your own words? Do that. If you feel stuck, listen to the video. Why do I think I take all that effort to make a video and load it up and all that stuff? Listen to the video again. Okay. Now I got some clarity. Then, after a day or so, okay, how will I put it in my words? Do that. Okay. When you do that, it becomes yours. You do that, it becomes yours. You keep playing with the idea, looking at it from different angles. Think of some argument against it. Yeah, that's also interesting. And then answer it. So sometimes you may think an argument against it and then get stuck, not being able to answer it. That can also happen. Then come and present it here. Hey, what is this? I heard this. You don't have to say I made up and then now I can't answer it. You can say I heard it. You heard it in your own head anyway, so it's okay. Understandable. I had a friend like that as a batchmate in the course. He was great at thinking up arguments against Vedanta. He was very good. So he'll confuse some people like that. Then I'll tell him, okay, Chan, how do you answer that? Bhul gaya yaar. Now I'm stuck with this doubt. Yeah, it happens. It's part of learning. That's okay. You built up such a good argument. Now that argument is yours. You don't know how to answer it yourself. You are identified with the Purva-Paksha. It's all right. It's part of the game. It's part of the game. It's a great game. Then in the class you'll get an answer, or with a friend you'll get an answer, or by yourself you'll be able to get an answer. Great. that makes it, making it your own. Then it becomes your own. Do nididhyasana, it becomes your own. Okay? You own it up. Swami Chinmayaji used to use another expression. You don't go through the book, let the book go through you. Here is one way of saying things. Don't go through the book, let the book go through you. So then it says, once you know it in this manner, you are not different from it. Brahmavid Brahmaeva Bhavati. The knower of Brahman, he is Brahman. Pranavam hi Ishwaram Vidyat Sarvasya Hridi Samsthitam Sarvavyapinam Omkaraha Matva Dhiraha Na Shochati. Pranavo hi Ishwaram Vidyat. What you call as Ishwara is nothing but Omkara, Brahman. Ishwara and Brahman are not two different things. Okay. Sarvasya Hridi Samsthitam. There in everyone's heart as I. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. In every kshetra body, there is the kshetrajnaha, the one who is aware of that body. That I is who? Me, Ishvaraha, Krishna says in the Gita, 13th chapter. Therefore, sarvasya hridistataha, manifest in every heart, in every mind as I. What is that? Ishwaram Brahman manifest. This is Sarva Vyapinam Omkaram. Omkara pervades everything. Like space pervades everything, Omkara pervades everything, including space. Therefore, he says, Iti Matva, knowing that, Dhiraha na Shochati, there is no more grief for this wise person. Dhiraha, thinking person. Dhiman, Buddhiman, for this person, there is no more grief. Which grief are we talking about? The unwept sorrow that is there in every human heart. We are not talking about the manifest sorrow because something happened. You lost something. There is grief. My new car, it got completely smashed in an accident. There is grief. You lost a friend. There is grief. That is a manifest grief. The unmanifest grief in every human heart, the unwept sorrow in every human heart is your existential issue. I am a finite being. I am isolated, lonely. In the midst of company, I can be lonely. I am isolated. I am unique, makes it more lonely. No purpose in my life. After all, what's the purpose? 6 feet under the earth. Or 6 by 6 square, you are burnt. Generations are burnt in 6 by 6 feet. Or kya? That's it. What's the purpose? 30 years I sacrificed everything for my children. And now my children don't even look at me. They are moving on with their life. Develop your emotional independence. Live with your dignity and your uniqueness. Functional. But these are all the unwept sorrow in every human heart. Why? Because I am a finite entity. May I say you? I am like this only. And what will the Guru say? Enna Raskala, why are you like this only? Rajnikant style, okay? Enna Raskala, why are you like this only? Get up, know the truth. Sarvam Vyapinam Matva Dhiraha Na Sochati. He is echoing the Gita, or Gita is echoing this. Asochya Nanva Sochaha. You are grieving over things that does not require grief. There is nothing to grieve about. Well, there is only one consciousness, Anandoham. But Swamiji, practical life. What you call practical life is impractical life actually. Because everyone is caught up in it, you will say practical life. Okay, empathize with grief, etc. You are human enough. The human side of you is always there. Vedanta does not make you inhuman anyway. Because Vedanta is meant for human beings, not inhuman beings. Don't try to go and teach a terrorist Vedanta. It won't work. So what will you do with the terrorist? Where is my sword? Where is my revolver? Where is my automatic pistol gone? That is the answer for a terrorist. Even if you are a wise person, okay? But this is it. There is no existential issue at all in you. How can there be an existential issue when you are the existence behind everything that is there? What is this existential issue? It is your existence as a human being. Look at the wolf in the wild. It's in harmony with the wild. I don't think it has a problem of purpose. What is my purpose in life? The question of loneliness. Yeah, I'm a lone wolf. Okay. In fact, he doesn't know he's a lone wolf. He is a wolf. That's all. He is. But when your self-awareness has developed to the level of human beings, then all these issues come up. So that evolution was necessary for you to understand Vedanta. These issues have to come up. Swamiji, I never felt any existential issues. Go, live your life. As we say in Hindi, na, thoda maar kha ke aa jao. Get beaten up in life. Feel the purposelessness. Feel the inadequacy. It is not that you have not felt it. It is not you have been not awareful enough. Those who are awareful enough will come to it. Okay. न शोधगिरः न शोचति. अमात्रो अनन्तमात्राश्च द्वैतस्य उपशमो शिवः ओंकारं विदितो येन स मुनिः न इतरो जनः. Amatraha, without any matras, okay, without any measures, without any syllable. Amatraha is ananta matras. Why? Amatra is limitlessness, so all matras belong to it. Okay, amatra. The silence is the basis for all sounds anyway. Without silence, is there a sound? Therefore, all sounds belong to silence. Amatraha, ananta matrasya is limitlessness. And dvaitasya upashamaha. It is a resolving point of all duality. Therefore, Shivaha, moksha swarupaha, mangala swarupaha, moksha swarupaha. Shivaha. This is what it is, what Omkara. Meaning, you the Brahman. Don't say Omkara is like that, I'll worship Omkara. Hey, all the worship is fulfilled it yourself in the class now. Come on. Omkara is yourself. Therefore, you are Amatraha, Anantamatraha, Dvaitasya Upashamaha, Shivaha. This is you, Moksha Swarupa. Don't say, my Guru is like that, I am myself this way. That's why you like to be with the Guru. Why? He all says nice things about you. Huh? You're good, you're this thing, you're infinite, limitlessness, etc. You're unique. He doesn't call you an idiot, useless character, etc. That is left for the society to do. Your parents have done that enough to you. Ananta matrasya, daitvasya upashamaha shivaha. Omkaro vidito yena. One who knows Omkara, knows Brahman. Sa munihi na itara janaha. That person is a munihi. That person is a rishi. Munihi manana shilavan. One was capable of right thinking and who has come to the conclusion, I am Brahman iti. Rishihi, Rishanti, Atanti, Jnananti. Shankara says that. Rishanti is Atanti. Atanti is one who is, meaning what? Jnananti, one who knows the truth. Such a person is a Rishi. Such a person is a Munihi. Because Rishi is a term we use for the first generation of teachers. Munihi. Such a person is a Munihi. Naitre Janaha. Such a person is a wise person. In fact, only these people can be called Mahatmas. When you recognize your Atma is Mahan. In India, we put Mahatma to everyone, that's a different thing. That is out of some respect, this, that, etc. But unless you recognize, I am Brahman, you don't deserve the title of a Muni, he says. Meaning what? You're not taught enough. Muni is Manana Shilava. Not taught enough to know the truth. That is why in the Gita, now let's go back to the test that we did long back, our first study of Vedanta, where Arjuna says, Karpanya dosho upahata svabhava prachami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha. With miserliness, svabhava has been miserly. Hey, miserly? Arjuna, miserly? No, in my thinking I have been miserly. Miserly in your thinking? My God, you are a master of the art of war. Stockpiled missiles. Art, music, warrior and some on one side, dance, music, art on the other. My God, what a complete person. And you think you have been miserly? Yes. Because Manu, who wrote the Dharma Shastra, the most maligned Manu says, one who leaves this earth, leaves his body without having known the truth, he's a Kripanaha, he's a miser. He's been miserly in his thinking. Doesn't deserve the title of a thinker. He may have got his PhD, that's a different thing. Yeah. I respect that PhD, of course. It takes some effort to get it. But this is the thing. Have you known the truth? Such a person is a Muni. So, Hindu sadhus generally are known as sannyasis, etc. Jains are known as Munis. Okay. That just came as a cultural thing. Okay. Muni generally meant Mananashilavan, intellectuals, thinkers. Okay. So when can you really say you're a thinker? When you are used your thinking enough. What is enough? What is the maximum possible? To know the truth. What more is possible? To know I am everything. Knowing which everything is known, Chandogya. Okay? Knowing which everything is known. Why you know Brahman, you know what is Satyam, you know what is Mithya. Anything other than Satyam is Mithya. What appears as other than Satyam is Mithya. Is there anything else for you to know? Nothing. You may not know the details of Mithya, that's okay. So that is it. If you know the truth, you are a Munihi, you are a Rishi, you are a Jnani in modern Sanskrit language. We call you a Jnani. But you can get the title of Jnani. There was a Jnani Zhel Singh. But that Jnani was different. That Jnani is one who has memorized the Granth Sahib. One who is memorized is called a Jnani. You can chant it by heart. He is called a Jnani. That's different. But here, he is a wise person one who knows the truth about himself. Aham Brahmasmi iti. Aham Omkara iti. So, all that you have heard about Omkara as sound, this, that, energy, all that, Revade. It's all fine from a standpoint. It's a conceptualization. Since Om is everything, you can look at it that way also. But what is the truth of Om? Om is nothing but Brahman yourself. That consciousness which you are. Starting with Yato imani bhutani jayante to Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman Aham Asmi iti. That is knowing Omkara. What Aham Asmi iti. Brahma Aham Asmi iti. I am Brahma. Once you know that and you own it up in your life, you are a wise person. उसका बाद क्या करने का है? उसका बाद do whatever you want. Go have a cup of tea or what? What is there to be done? How do I live like my life? Murkhavat acharit. A guru advises to live like the other fools in the society. Or meaning, don't create a disturbance because you know the truth. All that you're doing, all that is wrong. Those who want to come and learn, they will learn. Nah, create an awareness program if you want, so that people know something like this is there and they'll come and learn. That's it. So with this we come to the end of the first chapter, the Agama Prakarana. Okay, 12 verses of the Upanishad, 29 verses of the Karika, which Shankara's grand guru Gaudapada has written. So if there are no questions, clarification, next time we will start with the Vaititya Prakarana, the Mithyatvam of the whole universe. Because for Advaitam to be clear, the Mithyatvam has to be clear. For Satyam to be clear, Mithya has to be clear. Therefore, the next chapter is all about seeing everything as Mithya. Okay? So that we will see next time. Good place to stop. Okay? Om Tat Sat.